Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. This is where you ask your questions at @MarketingKitchen TV Twitter utilizing the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions right here on YouTube. Welcome, marketing chefs. I've got something truly special cooking in our Omni-Channel oven today. Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live, Chapter 10. Up next in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen, the Marketing Kitchen. Hi, I'm Ron Vining, your host of Marketing Kitchen TV. Welcome to @MarketingKitchen TV Q&A Live. All you need to do is go to @MarketingKitchen TV on Twitter, use the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here. Welcome back to Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. This is Chapter 10 of our 13-part, that's right. We somehow went from 12 to 13. Well, it's just because you asked me some more questions and I want to make sure I answer as many as I can. So we're going to do a bonus 13th chapter. But this is Chapter 10, and I'm filming them all back to back to back today, so let's just get started. Well, our first question here is from Summer, and Summer asks, as email marketing continues to become more saturated, can companies really expect their blast generic emails to hit home with potential customers? Do you see a rise in in-app marketing threatening email marketing altogether? So in Chapter 9 and Chapter 8, I believe even in Chapter 7, we started talking about EDM, or electronic direct mail, and as the most effective means of digital marketing, even more so effective than once you start. I tell you, you start to get a brain freeze after you start answering so many questions here, just staring at an iPad, as I'm doing right now, as opposed to being in a live audience. All right, so what am I trying to say? EDM, as opposed to promoted post, or as opposed to a meme, as opposed to a notification, as opposed to your website or content or review, or there's so many different ways that you can engage on digital. And your specific question is, as email marketing continues to become more saturated, can companies really expect their blast generic emails to hit home with potential customers? And I'd say the answer is still yes. And the reason is that most people that are receiving the EDM are receiving the EDM because they have opted in, or they somehow had signed up for the newsletter or whatever that's coming in. All right, I'll give you an example. Banana Republic. Banana Republic, this is a Banana Republic t-shirt. If you could see my shorts, I have Banana Republic shorts on as well. I have Banana Republic jeans, I have a Banana Republic suit. In fact, I love Banana Republic. So as a result, the Gap company sends me a ton of emails. They don't send me emails for the Gap or for Old Navy or for Athleta or whatever the athletic brand is that they have. They only send me the ones for Banana Republic, thankfully. I also have a Banana Republic credit card. Now, I get so many Banana Republic emails, so I get the blasts. Sometimes I get 3 blasts a day. They also send me ones for the Banana Republic factory outlet. Okay, there's one in Assembly Row. I do frequent that store when I'm back in Massachusetts, but I prefer Banana Republic proper. But I get blasts from both of them. It sometimes is overbearing, but I don't opt out because I like the brand and I like to see, especially when the time is that I'm going to be shopping. So when I'm back in the US, things that I don't want to miss out on a sale. So those blasts are still, even though they're generic, they're not exactly generic, they're targeted. I've stated that I'm a male, and so I typically get male-centric clothing offers as well. I get offers specific to being a credit card holder too, all of that. And of course it's good to be a member because then I get, cash for my birthday, and there's a number of different perks that keep me opt in. Now you're talking about a generic blast. Well, of course, I get generic blasts from people all the time. Unfortunately, every time I get connected, every time I go to a conference that I speak at or I train at, every time that I connect with somebody or they connect with me on LinkedIn, I somehow get added to these spam lists all the time. And I get a ton of them, and I'm not singling any race out, but from India. I get so many spam emails from India, specifically, do I want to build a mobile application? Do I want to have a CRM? Do I want a website? Do I want this tech piece? No, I don't. I don't want any of that. I also get a lot of offers too about, we can develop your PowerPoint slides for you. We can help you write a book. We can do this, we can do that. I've not asked for any of those. So none of those hit home for me because I haven't asked for them. So those type of blasts, I think, for the most part, will not be effective. They'll only be effective when I'm searching for that particular potentially product or service and I get that email at the right time. And so that's what these companies are hoping. They're blasting unscrupulously. They're blasting out, or even the pitches that I'm getting on LinkedIn, to thousands of people an hour, hoping that the person, even though it's generic, they are wanting that type of product or service at that specific time that email is coming in, and to them it could be a home run. But it's a needle in a haystack. But that, in many cases, that's what sales is today. And unfortunately, people doing what we're talking about doing harms everyone, because that makes people less apt to read their email, makes them less apt to want to engage with people on LinkedIn or connect with them, etc. I'm not sure if recently I've given an example here on YouTube, but when I first moved to Southeast Asia, LinkedIn was, so this was in 2009, I think I started on LinkedIn about 2004, I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, in 2009, LinkedIn was still pretty much a new platform, and there was a lot of C-level decision makers on there. And I was new to Southeast Asia, and I joined a consulting firm. And actually, so I got my job. So when I moved to Singapore, anyway, I won't get into that long story. I'm trying to keep these short. But anyway, when I moved to Singapore, the job that I thought I was going to be doing in Singapore wasn't happening anymore. And so talk about a bait and switch. Anyway, I get to Singapore, and the job that I had been hired for, I didn't have anymore. So, okay, anyway. I then got recruited by another company that found me on LinkedIn, which is great. So anyway, I joined them, consulting firm. Well, I had wanted to grow that consulting firm and grow their client portfolio, so I used LinkedIn to do that. So I reached out to somebody from Apple in Beijing and landed Apple as a client. I reached out to someone from Lucasfilm on LinkedIn and got Lucasfilm as a client. Same thing was true for LG and for Samsung and for HP and for Google and for, you name the brands. And so LinkedIn was fantastic for that. The same level of conversion is not happening on LinkedIn today because so many people are doing those generic blasts. So I would say that you ask if they are going to hit a home run with potential customers. No, not in the same way that it used to, but I still think it'll be effective. Now, your second question is, do you see a rise in in-app marketing threatening email marketing altogether? Well, you're making the assumption then, and it's not wrong to do so, but you're making the assumption that the person has downloaded the app and that they then utilize the app regularly. And I can almost guarantee you, now, depends on what the app is. If it's WhatsApp, or it's WeChat, or it's Line, then there are a ton of them, Bumble, Telegram, etc., all of these different messaging apps that are out there. And in fact, I'm getting into the game, and I'm not going to tell you the name of it now. It's a secret, but you can find it on LinkedIn. But I have another company, I have a messaging app that I'm going to be putting out, and it's going to be heavily geared towards mobile, like wearable mobile. It's a great platform to be in. But beyond those type of apps, it's very difficult to get most customers to engage in their exact app, but it's quite expected that somebody's going to be engaging. So if it's not a messaging app, the next best thing is email. So I'm not sure that in-app marketing is going to threaten email marketing. And if you're then also talking about ads, so let's say that it's so certainly the Gap's Banana Republic app is not going to be having ads from other brands on there. So there's going to be no threat in that walled ecosystem. And if you're talking about maybe a social app like Facebook or Twitter and then seeing ads in there, is that going to be threatening? Well, I mean, the promoted post, to me, so social media marketing in terms of like posts, those are not a threat to email. Ads on YouTube, not a threat to EDM. But the promoted post, that certainly is a threat, but EDM is still more effective, and I believe that it'll remain that way for the foreseeable future. All right, great question to start us off. I hope I answered it for you. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments section below. All right, thank you. Next question up, our second question today for our chapter 10 is Elizabeth, and she asks, the use of content marketing in B2B has become a great way to attract new potential buyers. What are some of the disadvantages of B2B using content marketing? The use of content marketing in B2B has become a great way to attract potential buyers. I completely agree. I specialize in B2B content marketing. All right, that's one of my areas of specialization. And if you go back to chapter 7, which kicked off the second part of our series here, I talked about you want to hire a specialist. So you want to hire an SEO specialist, a storytelling specialist, that's also yours truly, a content marketing specialist, a mobile engagement specialist, that's also yours truly, a retail one, also Omni-Channel retail, another one. So it depends upon what it is that you want to do in digital. You want to make sure you hire a specialist in that particular field to do that's there. So that's great that you're asking that particular question. What are some of the disadvantages of B2B using content marketing? None, okay? No, I mean, I love content marketing, and so all right, here we go. Let me try to answer this as succinctly as possible because I'm trying to keep the video lengths down, which is not so easy to do sometimes, especially when you're talking about topics that you love or are passionate about. Content marketing is a great way to engage on B2B, and I'm glad that a number of brands are seeing that. However, the biggest disadvantage of using content marketing for B2B is not only the engagement, but also the conversion and the willingness to pay money to promote that content. So what'll happen is that content, so B2B decision makers it took them a long time to be sold on social and how to make use of social, because some of the best way to do B2B marketing is in that face-to-face space, conferences. So attending a master class, attending a conference, a trade show, getting on the phone, EDM, advertising, traditional advertising, out-of-home advertising, and of course, social targeting, LinkedIn, forums, groups. These are all bread and butter ways to do so. So to utilize, once they then get sold on the idea of doing content marketing as a way to reach a B2B customer, there's the pure content marketing approach where there's not a pitch, and then there's if you really want to make content marketing work, where there has to be a pitch. So it's really about having an expert or even an in-house team that understands this process, because your in-house team best knows your product and services and your customers and how they want to engage, what channels it is to engage on. So what I first want to say before I list out the disadvantages is you want to make sure that you've constructed your content properly and that it is on the right channel or platform and that you're sending it out at the right time. So of course there's 7 days in a week. When is the best day of the week to be putting that content out? And what is the best content on a specific day that one should be putting out? There is a science to all of this, of course. So the disadvantage of it is constructing content that does not address. So in B2C marketing, it's about an individual. For B2B marketing, it's about perhaps a committee that's making the decision. And it's about reaching the decision maker on that particular committee, and or who that person is then presenting the findings of that buying center committee to, okay? The disadvantage is having content that doesn't address the objections of, so it doesn't catch the interest of that key person or persons we're talking about. It doesn't address the needs or objections of that person, because that person is not going to be spending a lot of time with the content. So it has to be really good, and it has to meet those objections right away. There can't be too much content. There has to be just enough. It has to address the need, address the objection, and then have a clear path to purchase. They're not going to purchase, by the way. That's the problem with B2B marketing. It's so long cycled. Let me wait for this plane to go by. So what you want to do is you really just want to be putting the bait out there and make that bait shiny, that the fish bites it, and then you try to reel them in, and there has to be a close. Now, don't expect to close the deal in here. And so that's where a lot of content marketers fail. They either, in B2B, they either have no close whatsoever, or they try to do a hard sell close, and neither of those are going to work. It's a long process. So what you need to do is you want to just really catch their attention and then start them on that journey that then they can have a one-on-one engagement with the brand to talk about it. And so the disadvantage is how you craft that message, where you post that message, and then how that next step of the engagement happens. I spend months. So, I certainly initially spend a week with the brand talking about all of this and understanding, again, who they are, what they're trying to accomplish, what their channels are, who their customer is, what channels the customer prefers, how they want to go about selling that product and service, and where we go at it. So the real disadvantage is expecting that the content marketing alone is going to work, and it's not going to. So it's about properly constructing that message, putting it on the right channel at the right time. Once the person is baited on that hook, then how to continue that conversation. Forums and groups on LinkedIn are a great way to do that. Live events are another. Having private one-on-one get-togethers or trainings or upselling. There's just a whole other pieces to just the content that works with that. Ask me a follow-up question. I can't take any more time on this. I certainly could, but I can't because I want to keep the video short. So let me know in the comment section below if you have a follow-up question, Elizabeth, and I'd be happy to answer that for you. All right, our next question, question 3 for today in our chapter 10 is by Patrice. And Patrice asks, with internet use up 20% and consumers reliant on online shopping, work, and communication, will content marketing shift significantly as businesses integrate content strategies to compete in the business landscape? So internet use is certainly up, not by choice, but internet use is certainly up because of the fact that everyone was trapped at home, or most people anyway, not everyone. I hate to stereotype, but a majority of the population, both from a consumer aspect as well as from a business aspect, so B2B and B2C, they were stuck at home, and of course online was the only way to engage, so yes. So it is up. Consumers were forced to be reliant on online shopping, forced to be reliant on online work, and of course forced for online communication. I don't see there being a shift around content marketing as related to this, other than the fact that people need to be more content savvy. They need to hire an expert to help them navigate in this cluttered media space that's there. It's going to be certainly more difficult to that. I'm not certain that your business content strategy is going to change at all, and it doesn't need to change, because if you have a sound strategy, it's just really about being smarter about your content, smarter about how you spend money on creating that content, about the channels that you're going to market on. So I'm not saying that one needs to significantly change their content strategy. You certainly have to have a strategy. So anybody who's going about this and doesn't have a plan is just wasting their time, unless they're just testing some things out, which is cool. So I guess your specific question is, will content marketing shift significantly as businesses integrate content strategies to compete in the marketplace? Well, hopefully these companies all had strategies before this, and that they were already dabbling or doing some work in that. They're probably interested in spending a bit more money. As I mentioned, they want to refine their strategy. They want to be smarter about it. They would want to hire an expert to help them. They may, now that things are that the whole team is being, I'm really concerned about outsourcing versus in-house. I've always been pitching that you should hire an expert to train your in-house team to do your marketing, because I think that your best marketers are within your company. They're the people that best understand your product service, your objectives, and obviously the customer. But you would want to hire an outside expert to help you develop that strategy, and then train your in-house team, perhaps help you to develop your content, so that then the team internally can do a better job at getting that out. I don't anyway see any significant shifts as it relates to what had happened. I just see people needing to be smarter about it. I mean, that's just my honest opinion. I think that businesses that are reactionary are going to fail anyway. People that are immediately jumping on the bandwagon effective things are going to fail. I'm not saying that it's not smart to reassess one strategy all the time. Of course you are. But to immediately jump in or alter. And the time for immediately altering or jumping in is over now, as things are beginning to reopen. Now's about developing a long-term strategy. And I don't see a significant additional spend to go on. I think the spend now is going to be how to best engage with the customer in the new environment. Of course, understanding that online has become so much more crowded, how is a smarter approach or way to deal in that particular space? So anyway, I hope I've answered your question there. If I've not, Patrice, please ask me in the comments section below, and I will get into this a bit more in more detail with you, okay? All right, let me know. Thanks a lot. Our fourth and final question for chapter 10 here is by Daniel. And so Daniel asks, content marketing is used to provide target customers with relevant information communication, but how can we know if customers view it as value-added personalized service or get annoyed because we know too much about their private information? Okay, that's an interesting question, Daniel. So yes, content marketing provides is a great avenue. So story-based content marketing for me is the best avenue, used to provide targeted customers with relevant information and communication. So perhaps that's in an EDM, perhaps that is in suggestions being offered when you're on the platform. Maybe that's a mailer that you would get. Again, it's about omni-channel. So for example, I've mentioned that Banana Republic is one of my favorite stores. Not only do I get offers from them online, I also get offers from them in the mail as well. And so it's about that entire omni-channel approach to reaching out to the customer. So you asked the question, but how can we know if customers view it as value-added, personalized service, or get annoyed because we know too much about their private info? Well, there's a fine line. And I guess you will know when people start opting out. You will know when people start sending emails or complaining at the store perhaps, or calling up or tweeting out. Customers will let you know. And customer trends or business trends will also let you know. So that's how you can tell whether or not they're perceiving what you're sending them as something that's value added, as opposed to something that they're annoyed with. So if I send out, so let's say that I have this new campaign and it rolls out on an Omni-Channel, and there are very few conversions, but there's a lot of unsubscribe. Well, then that tells me that the customers were annoyed with what I sent, as opposed to saw it as a value that they clicked on and that they engaged or they converted with me on that. In terms of whether they see it as private information or not, it really just depends on the approach. So if you're using cookies and being sticky with your marketing so that you're following somebody across all the different websites that they view, then that's when the customer gets weirded out. But if it's in avenues that they've opted in and they chose to engage with you on, then I don't see that they're going to see that as an invasion of their particular privacy. It all depends upon how you go about it. And of course, whether we're talking about within a walled ecosystem such as Amazon or eBay, or if we're talking about whether I have had a conversation with somebody in email, or I visit a website after having that conversation, and then every single website I go to for the next month is giving me an ad for that. And I'll give you an example of this. Has happened to me before. I've actually messaged someone saying that, gee, I want to go to Hong Kong Disneyland, and then the very next website that I visit, I'm seeing ads for Hong Kong Disneyland. Well, I certainly know that Google is tracking me through Gmail, and then knowing that I'm interested in Hong Kong Disneyland, and that they're showing me offers on different websites for packages to Hong Kong Disneyland. And of course, this has happened to me as well for Royal Caribbean cruises and different things of that nature. To me, that is in violation of my privacy, as opposed to, and I see that as weird, it weirds me out, as opposed to if I'm in Amazon and it gives me recommendations based on prior purchases, or telling me that family and friends have liked similar things and maybe I would like that too when I'm on Facebook. So it really just depends upon how far you push that envelope, Daniel. I hope that answers your question. Let me know in the comments section below what annoys you or what you perceive as value, and we can continue the conversation there. Thanks a lot. All right, thank you very much, Daniel, for asking that fourth and final question for Chapter 10 of Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. I really appreciate that, and I look forward to your comments in the section below, as well as from others, about these 4 questions that I've answered so that we can continue the engagement here in the comments section. And in our next episode, we'll be taking a question from Kelsey, and that will be in our Chapter 11. So I look forward to you tuning in for our next Chapter 11, taking Kelsey and 3 other questions. See you then. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Remember, if you have a question that you'd like to have answered here on YouTube, all you need to do is go to @MarketingKitchenTV on Twitter, use the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, there's always fresh content simmering on our storytelling stovetop. So whatever happens in this kitchen shouldn't stay in this marketing kitchen. I'm Ron Vining, your host, reminding you to invite your family and friends to the next episode of Marketing Kitchen TV.